Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Magic the Gathering, I thought I would show off my favorite cards that were released this year, and then we'll use the Arena app here. Should be easy to look at. And these are not cards that I think are the strongest, or even the ones that I use the most. It's just the ones that I like the most for whatever reason. But we can go in Wooburg order, and I actually don't have any white cards that I really want to talk about. So we'll just talk about this guy. There was that series of the two-sided cards in Modern Horizons 3, and these are all pretty good, so we can throw Witch Enchanter in there. Next we have blue. Here's another one of those. The two-sided cards. This one's maybe the most popular. I don't have one of these in paper yet, but yeah, if I did have it, then I would definitely use it. And then here, Harrier Strix. I like this guy because 1 mana, and then it can tap somebody when it comes out, so it can kind of free up your attacks that would come out. And then some card selection. Really like this card. I use this in my Riga Stadium deck because it's got the 1 power and the flying. And then here, this is great for standard. This is from Bloomburrow, but you can bounce a creature, or you can give a fish and then bounce whatever card, so that's not a land. Pretty powerful, and I like the artwork as well. And then here, this might be my favoriteest card overall for the year, but Azure Beastbinder. It can attack, it cannot be blocked by, stronger characters, and then it can turn off abilities. This is really good in Commander to turn off commanders, or any format. You can turn off artifacts as well, planeswalkers too. It's pretty funny when a planeswalker can't do anything. And then kind of a mini version of this, sort of. It's that uncommon, the Shoreline Looter. Can't be blocked by anything, not even people with 1 power. And then it can do either card selection for you, like the Strix, whatever it was, or just card draw if you have enough cards in the graveyard. Kind of an underrated guy, I think. And I think that's it for blue. What's next? Black. I like this guy. I like aristocrats. I like decks to make the enemies sacrifice people. And this is only 2 mana. A lot of these characters, they'll cost 3. And then this guy, he has the restriction where it only works for non-token creatures. But that restriction can work in our favor sometimes. Like maybe they would sacrifice, a token creature that they don't need. But this gets around that, so that's very cool. Zombie too, so nice synergies there. And then here, Chthonian Nightmare. This can be played, many times on your turn. It comes back to your hand every time. And then it can revive, like a lot of little guys from your graveyard. I think when people think about like graveyard recursion, they think about bringing back really big guys, but little guys I think are also worth bringing back. So I like that a lot. And then Marionette Apprentice. This is also good for the Aristocrats decks, or treasures. I like that. And then Ripples of Undeath. This is good for mill decks. Also, I don't know, it's like a Sylvan Library for black, which is kind of crazy. You look at your cards, you can choose to get some back by paying life. Pretty darn good. And that might be it for black. There's a black commander that I like. I'll talk about the commanders at the end. Alright, but next let's talk about red. Here is a Galvanic Discharge from Modern Horizons 3. It's kind of a lightning bolt. You can pay 1 red, it's an instant, and then you can get 3 energy and then do that much damage. But as we can see here with the Alchemy version, they put it down to 2 because I guess it was too powerful. But yeah, I like this one a lot. And then Bloomburrow came out and they had a bunch of red mice, which I really love. I still have a standard deck using them. And maybe the MVP is this uncommon, this Heartfire hero. But you target it, it gets tokens, it gets stronger, and then when it dies, it does damage equal to its power to each opponent. And then there are cards to fling it, all this kind of stuff. Very, very powerful. And then another favorite red card released this year is Power Balance. This is the red version of the blue Counterbalance, I think it is. Maybe Counterbalance is better because I can counter spells, but I just like the randomness that this one has. And then in my red commander deck, all of my cards are 3 mana or less to cost, so by limiting my mana cost of my cards, I have a greater chance of actually making use of this, so this is a fun card. Alright, and then I guess that leaves green. I have Insidious Fungus here. I like these cheap creatures that you can sacrifice to destroy stuff, but this also has the growth spiral on it. You can draw a card and then put a land from your card into your from your hand onto the battlefield, so pretty powerful. Usable in lots of decks. And then I like this Nightshade Dryad. It's a mana dork. It can add Colorless. That could be good for artifact decks or Eldrazi decks, but it has the Death Touch. So I like that even in the late game, it can be a good blocker for you. Maybe when you don't need the mana anymore, use it for a blocker. Discourage attacks because of the Death Touch. Really like this one. Okay. And then I don't have any multicolor cards that I want to talk about. But I have a couple of colorless. Maybe this is my favorite artifact of the year. Patchwork Banner. It's a 3 mana rock. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color. But you can use it to buff certain creature types. One that you can choose when you cast it. I didn't used to like, like creature-themed decks, but this year, I made like a mouse deck, stuff like that, so this is actually pretty good, and I'm a little surprised that this card has not existed up until now. And then the other colorless card that I like is Urza's Cave. This is a colorless land. Doesn't come into play tapped. Tap it for colorless, which can be useful, and then sacrifice it to get any land, not a basic land even, just any land. There is the Verge series of lands. I think most people would pick the Surveil lands as their favorite lands, but I like these. They don't come into play tapped. You get the 2 types of mana, and then it's not that difficult to activate that kind of second mana type, so I like these. Okay. I lied, actually. I do have one multicolor card, but this is going to be in my favorite commanders list. I have 2 commanders that I really like this year. One is Vren the Relentless. Pulled this guy from a pack, and I was thinking I wanted to make a blue-black deck, and so I looked through my cards and I discovered this guy, and I was like, oh, this guy makes token creatures. I like that. But yeah, this guy has really captured my imagination. I've been putting a lot of effort into creating this deck, and then I used it to play against my very, very strong magic friend, and I beat him with it, so very happy about that. I'm having a hard time finding these rat tokens, though. I've only been able to find 3, despite going to lots and lots of stores in Tokyo. But I've been filling this deck with clones, so I can get out more rat tokens, and they all buff each other. Kind of an aggro token deck, which is not at all how I usually like to play, but somehow I really like this card. And then the Ward 2 is very, very nice. Also kind of graveyard hate on the opponent, so pretty strong card, and also very underrated. I don't see almost anyone talking about this guy. Alright, and then the last card we'll talk about here is another commander that I really like, Shil Gengar. Also hear almost nothing about this guy, but like, just kind of flavor-wise, a demon that like hunts angels is too badass, too cool. Look at all those wings around him, very creepy. I'm trying to put together cards for this, so he's actually going to be the only demon, but there are 2 kinds of cards that I want to put in this deck. Stuff that makes blood, and then stuff that are angels, so it's actually full of angels, and then there's just this one guy who's sacrificing them. And then also mill, so I guess there are 3 kind of cards that I want in here. So I want to mill my deck, put a bunch of angels into my graveyard, make blood, and then sacrifice some stuff in order to get all the angels out into the battlefield at once. And then a lot of the angels, they have effects that when they enter the battlefield they do something, and so that'll all go off and it'll be crazy and explosive. I'm looking forward to playing this in paper. Oh, also, I want to put cards that exile my guys. Apparently, if I exile people and they have a finality counter on it, then they will come back. The finality counter will be removed, so that will be pretty good. Okay, but those are my favorite cards released this year. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.